High above the Atlantic, in a first-class cabin bound for New York, a toddler's cries pierce the hum of a routine flight. Lucas Anderson, a millionaire CEO accustomed to boardrooms, instinctively soothes the child only to freeze at a familiar birthmark. This boy, Ethan, is his son, tied to a past love, Rachel Miller, who vanished years ago. Snow dusts the city below where their unexpected reunion unfolds, steeped in regret, hope, and the warmth of rediscovered bonds. In this romantic, dramatic tale, laced with Ethan's innocent humor, a single act of kindness sparks a journey toward family. Will Lucas embrace fatherhood? Can old wounds heal? Join us in this kindness in real-life story, where coffee-scented moments brew second chances. The first-class cabin hummed softly, a cocoon of luxury slicing through the January sky at 30,000 feet. Outside, the Atlantic stretched endlessly, its waves hidden beneath clouds dusted with the promise of New York's snow. Inside, plush leather seats and the faint clink of champagne glasses cradled the elite, their hushed conversations blending with the airplane's drone. A subtle coffee aroma lingered, wafting from a flight attendant's tray, warming the sterile air. Lucas Anderson, perched in a window seat, barely noticed. His phone glowed with emails, mergers, acquisitions, a charity gala looming in Manhattan, his tailored charcoal suit crisp. Despite the long flight, hugged a lean frame, and his rectangular face, shadowed by a day's stubble, bore an intense expression. His blue eyes flicked across the screen, chasing control in a world he'd mastered, but a sound pierced his focus. A toddler's wail, shrill and relentless, 3 rows back. It wasn't just noise, it was raw, a plea that burrowed under his skin. Lucas pinched the bridge of his nose, willing the cries to fade. He was a CEO, a man of boardrooms and billion-dollar deals, not a babysitter. Noise-canceling headphones sat in his bag, untouched. Something about the sobs, heartbreakingly earnest, held him back. Why can't I ignore this, he thought, scrolling through meeting requests. The cries grew louder, a crescendo of distress that drowned out his thoughts. With an exasperated sigh, Lucas tugged at his suit jacket's lapels and rose. Passengers glanced up, curious. The famed CEO plastered on finance magazine covers for ruthless tactics wasn't known for sentiment, yet his strides down the aisle were deliberate, each step as focused as if he were entering a negotiation. His gaze locked on the source. A small boy curled in a seat, tears streaming down his round face. Sandy brown hair stuck to his damp cheeks and big hazel eyes, red from crying, blinked up with vulnerability. He wore crumpled pajamas, a plush toy rabbit clutched tightly. Next to him, a woman stroked his shoulder, her face hidden beneath waves of auburn hair. Lucas felt a strange twinge, recognition at the sight of her slender frame. "Is everything all right here?" His voice, low and measured, carried the confidence that usually compelled answers. The woman tensed, then turned. Time stopped. The cabin's hum faded. The overhead lights dimmed, and Lucas's world shrank to her face. Rachel Miller, large, glistening eyes, medium, olive skin, an oval face etched with exhaustion. 5 years had passed since he'd last seen her, since their love had shattered in a storm of misunderstandings. She'd vanished without a trace, leaving him with regrets he'd buried under corporate triumphs. Now, here she was on a flight to New York beside a crying child. Rachel recognized him instantly. Shock flickered across her face, then hurt, then something unreadable. Her lips parted, but no words came. Her gaze darted to the boy, then back to Lucas as if warning him. "Lucas," she managed, voice quavering, I didn't expect." The boy hiccuped, tears still falling, and Lucas's attention shifted. Instinct took over. He knelt eye level with the child, his expression softening in a way he barely recognized. "Hey there, buddy," he murmured, voice warm, soothing. "You having a rough time?" The boy, Ethan Rachel would later say, sniffed, studying Lucas with uncertain hazel eyes. A flicker of curiosity crossed his face, and Lucas's heart did an unexpected flip. Something about those eyes, that trembling lower lip, felt achingly familiar. He glanced at the boy's arm, where a small crescent-shaped birthmark peeked from his sleeve. Lucas froze. His own arm bore the same mark, a family trait passed through generations. His mind reeled. Could this be... Is he your... Lucas began looking up at Rachel. The question hung unfinished. Her hands trembled, gripping the armrest. She seemed torn lips, parting as if to speak. But Ethan sobbed again, pulling Lucas's focus. He ruffled the boy's hair gently. It's okay, he said, voice hushed. Airplanes can be scary, huh? Even grown-ups get nervous. He spun a tale about clouds being cotton candy, his words calming Ethan's cries. The boy blinked, clinging to his rabbit, listening as Lucas promised everything would be fine. Rachel watched, conflicted. Her exhausted expression softened with gratitude, but worry lingered in her gaze. He's upset, she explained, voice strained, a long layover, his first big flight. She paused, eyes flicking to Lucas. I appreciate you helping, but maybe you should go back to your seat. Her words carried an unspoken tension, a plea to avoid the past crashing into the present. Lucas stood slowly, his heart hammering. You never called, he said softly, heartbreak and confusion swirling in his tone. I searched for you, Rachel. Swallowed hard, her gaze dropping. I had my reasons. He looked at Ethan again, the boy's familiar intensity stirring questions. What's his name? Lucas asked, voice quiet. Ethan. Rachel replied, pressing her lips together. He's 3. The details hit like a revelation. The timeline, the birthmark, everything aligned. Lucas's mind spun, but before he could press further, a flight attendant approached, offering a deferential smile. Is everyone comfortable? Mr. Anderson? She asked, recognizing him. Lucas nodded absently, stepping aside. The interruption broke the moment, but not his resolve. Rachel. We need to talk, he said, lowering his voice as the attendant moved on. She glanced at curious passengers nearby. Not here, she whispered, panic in her eyes. Not now. Please, just leave us be. Lucas wanted to demand answers, but her raw fear stopped him. Instead, he tucked a business card into her hand. Call me, he said, a plea beneath his authority. We land in 3 hours. I'll be at arrivals. He offered Ethan a gentle smile, earning a shy wave, then turned back up the aisle. The walk to his seat felt endless. Passengers' glances, the plush carpet, the glint of overhead lights. He saw none of it. Memories flooded him starlit nights with Rachel, dreams of a future unburdened by their pasts. They'd been young, afraid, and their love had unraveled in accusations and silence. Now Ethan's existence changed everything. Was he truly his son? Why had Rachel kept him secret? Settling into his seat, Lucas stared at his phone, financial projections irrelevant. A single thought consumed him. Family. The next hours dragged like days. Ethan's tearful eyes, Rachel's trembling hands haunted him. He couldn't focus, his empire's demands fading against the pull of a child's heartbeat. When the plane touched down at JFK, its wheels screeching softly, Lucas didn't unbuckle immediately. He glanced back, seeking Rachel and Ethan, but rows of passengers obscured his view. Anxiety crept in. Had she slipped away again as she had years ago? He moved through customs in a daze, his usual brisk stride faltering. In the arrivals corridor, he scanned the throng of travelers, families reuniting, business people hurrying to connections. No Rachel, no Ethan. Panic tightened his chest. Had she vanished, taking his son with her? He clutched a slim binder. A flight attendant had returned his lifeline to routine, but it felt hollow. Then, amid the chaos, he glimpsed auburn hair. Rachel stood by a set of chairs, tired but present. Ethan beside her, clutching a teddy bear. Relief crashed over him. Lucas approached, heart pounding. Ethan spotted him first. Mommy, it's the man from the airplane, he chirped, his vulnerable expression brightening. Lucas knelt, matching the boy's height. Hi, again, he said, voice gentler than intended. Rachel's wary gaze met his. I didn't want to disappear again, she admitted, voice trembling. I owe you some kind of explanation. The terminal buzzed around them, but an invisible sphere seemed to enclose Lucas, Rachel, and Ethan. Snow fell softly outside, blanketing New York in quiet promise. The faint coffee scent from a nearby kiosk wove warmth into the moment, a reminder of second chances. Lucas nodded, his intense gaze softening. Somewhere private, he said not a demand, but a hope. Rachel hesitated, then agreed, her exhausted face flickering with resolve. Whatever truths lay ahead, this cry on a flight had changed everything, and Lucas was ready to face it. Rachel and Ethan step into a sleek sedan, the coffee-warm air heavy with unspoken truths. Will Rachel reveal why she hid Ethan? Can Lucas embrace fatherhood? Ethan's sleepy giggle hints at hope, but secrets linger. In this intimate ride past love and new bonds, collide what answers await, like the video to spread family's warmth. The luxury sedan glided through JFK's chaos. its heated leather seats enveloping Lucas, Rachel, and Ethan in a cocoon of warmth. Outside, January snow swirled, dusting New York's runways in a soft white veil. Inside, the faint scent of coffee from a thermos in the driver's console mingled with the tension hanging between the adults. Lucas sat in the back beside Rachel, his tailored suit slightly rumpled, now his lean frame taut with anticipation. His rectangular face, usually set in boardroom intensity, softened as he glanced at Ethan nestled in a car seat between them. The boy's sandy brown hair fell over his round face, his hazel eyes heavy with sleep, a plush rabbit tucked under his arm. Rachel, her auburn hair framing an oval face etched with weariness, clutched Ethan's tiny hand, her medium olive skin pale under the sedan's dim lights. Her sweater and jeans spoke of practicality, but her resolute gaze met Lucas's, bracing for the inevitable. The driver, a discreet professional, kept his eyes on the road, navigating toward Brooklyn as instructed. Lucas had insisted on the ride. His voice firm yet gentle at the terminal. "You don't have to do this alone," he'd said, and Rachel, too tired to argue, had nodded. Now silence stretched, broken only by Ethan's soft hum, a melody from some children's show. Lucas watched the boy, his heart twisting, that crescent-shaped birthmark on Ethan's arm, identical to his own, burned in his memory. He needed answers, but Rachel's guarded expression warned him to tread carefully. "You said you owed me an explanation." Lucas began, voice low, mindful of Ethan's drowsy state. His blue eyes searched Rachel's face, seeking the woman he'd loved 5 years ago. "Why didn't you tell me?" Rachel's lips pressed into a thin line, her gaze dropping to Ethan. Snowflakes tapped the windows, a rhythmic counterpoint to her hesitation. "It's complicated, Lucas," she murmured, barely audible. "I didn't know how to reach you. Not after everything. Everything." His tone sharpened, old wounds surfacing. "You left without a word. Rachel, I called, I searched, nothing. And now?" He gestured toward Ethan, his voice softening. "He's mine, isn't he? He..." The question hung heavy as the snow outside Rachel's eyes glistened, and she nodded, a single tear escaping. "Yes," she whispered. "Ethan's your son." The confession landed like a thunderclap. Lucas leaned back, his mind racing. 3 years. He'd built an empire, dined with tycoons, but missed every milestone of his son's life. First steps, first words. Anger flared, then ebbed as he saw Rachel's trembling hands. "Why hide him?" he asked, quieter now. His intense expression yielding to hurt, Rachel swallowed, glancing at Ethan, who stirred, clutching his rabbit tighter. "I was scared," she admitted. You, Lucas Anderson, untouchable, building your legacy. I was a single mom, barely scraping by. I thought you'd reject us, or worse, take him away." The words stung. Lucas's jaw tightened, but Ethan's sleepy giggle broke the tension, the boy pointing at the snow. "Look, Mommy, it's like a spaceship." Rachel smiled faintly, brushing his hair back, and Lucas felt a pang. This was his son, bright, innocent, unaware of the storm around him. "I'd never take him from you, Lucas," said voice firm but warm. "But I want to be his father, Rachel. I need to be Rachel's." Gaze flickered with doubt, then softened. "I wanted to tell you," she said, voice cracking. "After we broke up, I found out I was pregnant. I was alone." "Lucas, my parents were gone. My savings were nothing. I moved to Chicago, worked odd jobs, lived in a tiny apartment. I kept thinking I'd reach out, but every time I saw your name in the news, another deal, another gala, it felt impossible." She paused, steadying herself. "I came back to New York for a job interview." This flight, it was chance. Lucas absorbed her words, the sedan's hum, a backdrop to his thoughts. He remembered their last fight, his ambition clashing with her dreams, both too young to compromise. Now the stakes were higher. "What job?" he asked, grasping for something concrete. Rachel hesitated. "A preschool aide. It's not much, but it's stable, and Ethan could be close." Lucas nodded, his mind already calculating daycare schools, a better life for his son. But he held back, sensing her pride. The sedan turned onto Brooklyn's quieter streets, brownstones glowing under snow-laden streetlights. Ethan yawned, his head lolling against Rachel's arm. "You're good with him," Lucas said, a hint of wonder in his tone. Rachel's lips curved slightly. "He's my world. But he's stubborn, like someone else I know." A spark of their old banter flared, and Lucas chuckled, the sound surprising him. For a moment, the weight lifted the coffee-scented air, weaving a fragile truce, but questions lingered. What now? Lucas asked, his gaze steady. Rachel looked at Ethan, then back at him. I don't know. I want what's best for him, but you're a stranger to him, Lucas. And to me in some ways. Her honesty cut, but he nodded. Then let me change that, he said, voice earnest, for him, for us. The words slipped out heavy with their past, and Rachel's eyes widened, a mix of fear and longing. The sedan slowed, pulling up to a modest brownstone, its steps dusted with snow. Rachel unbuckled Ethan, who stirred, blinking at Lucas. Nice man, he mumbled, waving his rabbit, and Lucas's heart swelled. He stepped out, the cold biting his face, and helped Rachel with her bag. I'll call you tomorrow, he said, handing her his coat against the chill. She nodded, clutching it, her weary expression softening. As she carried Ethan up the steps, Lucas stood by the car, snowflakes catching in his hair. This was only the beginning. In Rachel's cozy Brooklyn apartment, snow blankets, the windows as Lucas meets Sarah. Rachel's sharp-witted friend. Will, Ethan warmed to his father. Can Lucas fit into their humble world? Ethan's teddy bear antics spark laughter, but deeper questions loom. Join their next step. What bonds will grow? Subscribe to Kindness in Real Life for more heartwarming stories. Rachel's Brooklyn apartment was a warm haven against the January snow piling softly against the windows. The living room, small but cozy, hummed with the glow of a single lamp casting shadows over mismatched furniture and a colorful rug strewn with Ethan's toys. A faint coffee aroma drifted from a steaming mug on the counter, mingling with the scent of cinnamon from a candle. Rachel had lit to mask the day's exhaustion. Lucas stood just inside the door, his tailored suit out of place amid the lived-in clutter, his lean frame slightly hunched as he took in the scene. His rectangular face, softened by curiosity, scanned the space, a far cry from his Manhattan penthouse's sterile elegance. Rachel, her auburn hair tied back, set, Ethan down, her oval face weary but hopeful as she watched her son toddle toward a pile of blocks. Her sweater clung to her slender frame, and her medium olive skin caught the lamplight as she gestured Lucas inside. Make yourself at home, Rachel said, voice tentative, her gaze flickering between Ethan and Lucas. Ethan, in fresh play clothes, his sandy brown hair tousled, plopped onto the rug, his round face bright with curiosity. His hazel eyes locked on Lucas, who knelt beside him, shedding his suit jacket for a borrowed sweater Rachel offered. Hey, buddy. Lucas said, voice warm. What's this spaceship you're building? Ethan grinned, holding up a wobbly block tower. It's for bunnies, he declared, waving his plush rabbit, and Lucas chuckled, the sound easing the room's tension. The apartment door swung open, and Sarah breezed in, shaking snow from her colorful scarf. Her athletic build moved with confidence, her dark skin glowing under the lamp, and her heart-shaped face, framed by short braids, held a skeptical but warm expression. So this is the famous CEO, she said, eyeing Lucas, her tone playful yet protective. Rachel shot her a look. Sarah, behave, Sarah grinned, tossing her coat onto a chair. Just saying. Rach, he's got some explaining to do, showing up like a ghost. Lucas stood, offering a hand. Lucas. Anderson. And I'm here to stay if they'll have me. Sarah's gaze softened slightly, but her raised eyebrow spoke volumes. Rachel busied herself in the tiny kitchen, pouring coffee, her movements betraying nerves. Sarah's my rock, she told Lucas, handing him a mug. She watched Ethan during my interview today. Lucas sipped the coffee's warmth, grounding him. Preschool aide, right? He asked, recalling their car ride. Rachel nodded, her expression guarded. It's a start. I want stability for Ethan, especially now. Her eyes met his, a silent question. Can you fit into this life? Lucas turned to Ethan, who was stacking blocks with fierce concentration. Need a co-pilot? He asked, settling on the rug. Ethan giggled, handing him a block. You're the nice man, he said, and Lucas's heart swelled. He glanced at Rachel, catching a flicker of gratitude in her weary eyes. Sarah plopped onto the couch, watching. He's good with kids, she admitted, then leaned forward, voice low. But Rachel's been through hell, Lucas. Don't make promises you can't keep. The words hit hard. Lucas nodded, his intense expression softening as he helped Ethan build a lopsided tower. Memories of Rachel flooded back late-night talks, her laughter, their dreams, before ambition tore them apart. Now her vulnerability, Ethan's trust, stirred something deeper. He wanted to be more than a name in headlines. "I'm not going anywhere," he said, voice steady, meeting Rachel's gaze. She looked away, busying herself with Ethan's toys, but a faint flush betrayed her. Sarah, ever the instigator, grabbed a children's book from the shelf. "Storytime, Ethan," she asked, winking at Lucas. "Or should Mr. CEO take a shot?" Ethan clapped, pointing at Lucas. "Nice man reads." Lucas hesitated, then took the book, A Tale of a Lost Bunny Finding Home. His voice, usually commanding boardrooms, softened, weaving the story with unexpected tenderness. Ethan leaned against him, eyes wide, and Rachel paused, her hopeful expression mingling with fear. The moment felt fragile, a bridge between past and possibility. As the story ended, Ethan yawned, clutching his rabbit. Rachel scooped him up. "Bedtime, little man," she said, her voice tender. Lucas watched a pang in his chest. This was fatherhood, small moments, quiet, joys he'd missed. Sarah nudged him. "Not bad for a rookie," she teased, but her eyes held approval. Rachel returned. Ethan tucked in and sat across from Lucas, the coffee mug warming her hands. "Today was a lot," she admitted. "You being here, it's overwhelming." Lucas leaned forward, his sweater sleeves rolled up his gaze, earnest. "I want to know him." "Rachel, and you, I know I messed up before, but I'm here now." His voice caught and Rachel's eyes glistened. "It's not that simple," she said softly. "Ethan's my everything. If you're in for good." The words were a challenge, but her tone held a trace of longing, reigniting old sparks. Sarah, sensing the shift, stood. "I'm grabbing groceries before the snow traps us." "You two, talk." She flashed a grin and slipped out, leaving a charged silence. Lucas reached for Rachel's hand, then stopped, respecting her space. "Tell me what you need," he said instead. Rachel sighed, her oval face softening time, and maybe trust. The words hung heavy with their history, but hopeful. The snow thickened outside, blanketing Brooklyn in quiet. Lucas glanced at his watch, nearly 9. "I should go," he said, reluctant. "My driver's waiting." Rachel nodded, walking him to the door. "Thanks for tonight," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "Ethan liked you." Lucas smiled, his intense gaze warming. "He's incredible, like his mom." Rachel's flush deepened, and for a moment the past felt closer than the snow. Outside, Lucas climbed into his sedan, the cold biting his face. The apartment's glow lingered in his mind. Ethan's laughter, Rachel's cautious hope, Sarah's wit. His penthouse awaited, but it felt empty compared to this new kind of home. As the car pulled away, he vowed to prove himself not as a CEO, but as a father and maybe more. Family isn't just born, it's built, one small gesture at a time. So, as snow dusts your world, let kindness guide you. Comfort a stranger, mend a rift, or share a smile. It might just change everything. At Kindness in Real Life, we believe these moments weave humanity's heart. What act of kindness has touched you? Share your story below. Tell us your city, your time, and how compassion reshaped your day. Let's inspire each other to keep the warmth alive, no matter the cold.